Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we're immersing ourselves in 5 stories from a pretty special Stephen King collection from 1997, 6 stories.
Yeah, this was a very limited signed edition, only about 1,100 copies. And the stories inside, they all sort of explore this one brutal theme.
Which is that exact moment,
Yeah.
right? The moment the everyday world just shatters and you're left in this certain inescapable nightmare.
It's a study in shock, really. We see these characters go from their normal lives, a stockbroker playing golf, a guy having lunch, a chambermaid cleaning a room, and in an instant, they're thrown into a state of just total vulnerability, physical, emotional, you name it.
King has a line that really frames our whole deep dive today. He says, you just never know when you're going to bust a fiddle string.
That's it. That's the core of it. And that jarring snap, it kicks us off with a character named Howard Cottrell in Autopsy Room 4.
Okay, so imagine this. You wake up, but you don't wake up to light. You wake up to absolute profound darkness. You can feel something touching you from head to toe, and the first thing that hits your senses, the first clue, is the smell.
It's the smell of rubber or, maybe vinyl. And that's the trigger. That smell is what tells him something is terribly, terribly wrong.
At first, there's this little bit of hope, right? Maybe he's just dreaming. But that hope just vanishes when he realizes he can hear things. He hears this rhythmic squeaking sound.
The squeak of a gurney wheel, and then he hears voices, and the panic really sets in because he tries to move, he tries to react, and nothing. His body is completely unresponsive.
It's an instant, total paralysis. His internal monologue is going crazy. He's thinking, hey, don't drop me, I've got a bad back. This perfectly human, mundane thought.
Right, a normal thought for an abnormal situation. But he can't get it out. His lips don't even twitch. King has this incredible image for it. He says his tongue is lying on the floor of his mouth like a stunned mole.
Wow. Yes.
A stunned mole. It's so perfect. It's not just that it's paralyzed, it's that it's useless. It's this living thing shocked into silence, and it's supposed to be his tool for communication.
And the horror just gets so much worse because the people who are in control of his fate, the orderlies, they're having this casual, awful conversation over him.
Oh, it's brutal, the indifference of it. You've got these two guys, Mike and Rusty. And Rusty apparently has a whole stand-up routine he does for every dead body they bring in.
He's treating this man, this human being, like a prop for his little show.
They're totally desensitized. Rusty says something like, "You'll like this one, Doc. He looks like Michael Bolton." And he's talking to Dr. Katie Arlen, this young, supposedly cool female doctor.
I mean, think about the humiliation there. In his own mind, Cottrell is Howard the Conqueror. He's a Vietnam vet. He's a successful stockbroker.
Yeah.
And he's being compared to a soft rock singer by these two guys. And he can't do a thing about it. He can't even blink. It's just this institutional contempt that starts the nightmare.
And then the darkness, which was its own kind of terror, is just ripped away. He hears the zipper on the body bag come down with this harsh zipping sound.
And he's hit with this blinding white light from the overhead fluorescence. But the terror is his eyes can't squint. They can't close. He's just staring straight up.
That's such a sharp medical detail, isn't it? The pupils failing to contract. So the light isn't just bright, it's actual pain. It's a constant assault, and it just confirms that his body is fundamentally broken.
And the staff, they just keep missing the signs. They're willfully blind to it.
They see the bug bites on his calf, right. But Mike, the orderly, he just dismisses it. Found him off the golf course, in the rough, heart attack. It's the easy answer.
Dr. Arlen even notes that he has a high temperature, but she just explains it away. She says, well, he was found outside on a hot day.
Right. He's hot because it's hot outside. They're looking right at the evidence, the bites, which points to an external cause, and they're just defaulting to the expected cause, a heart attack. It's institutional bias, and it's about to kill him.
The real panic, the deep dive into the horror for him, starts when he hears the clank of steel instruments.
Yes. Cottrell, with his background in Vietnam, he knows those sounds. He knows what they mean. He sees the guy saw, the one they used to cut open the skull.
That's horrifying enough, but then it gets personal. Dr. Arlen offers the intern, Pete, a chance to make the first cut.
The pericardial cut. And because of what he saw in Vietnam, these tent show postmortems, he knows exactly what that is. He knows the tool.
The pericardial shears.
Long, sharp scissors. King gives this brutal comparison. He says they're like poultry shears.
Oh, that's awful.
Think about it. Taking a human sternum and rib cage and just cracking it open like a chicken carcass for dinner. And the moment Cottrell imagines that first snip crunch as the bone gives way, that's when his Howard Conqueror identity just dissolves. He's not a person anymore. He's something to be consumed.
So his attempts to signal life become so focused, so desperate. He puts all of his will, all of his energy into his chest.
And he manages it. He produces this tiny, low hum. It leaks out of his nostrils like a minuscule mosquito whine. It's this monumental act of concentration. He almost does it again. He tries for a second.
Man, that tiny sound, that flicker of life, is just completely erased by the most mundane thing in the world.
Pop culture. Dr. Arlen decides they need some music, and suddenly the room is just filled with Rolling Stones, Mick Jagger's voice, that fuzztone guitar. Oh, no, it's only rock and roll, but I...
So his plea for his life is just drowned out by classic rock. It's murder by background music.
A whisper in a foundry, as King puts it. It's brilliant. They just carry on. They pull down his shorts, debating if he wears boxers or jockeys.
And the thing that finally saves him, the thing that stops the blade, is a total accident. It's just awkward and banal.
Pete, the intern, gets all formal. Commencing pericardial cut. Cottrell is just bracing for it, but Dr. Arlen stops him.
Not because she thinks he's alive.
No, not at all. She's just obsessed with this old, ugly scar from a war wound on his groin. She wants a better look. So she slides her rubber-gloved hand around his penis to move it out of the way.
And that's it. That accidental, sterile touch is the proof of life. He starts to get a partial erection.
Arlen is so focused on the scar, she tightens her grip without even realizing it. And in that exact instant, Rusty bursts back into the room screaming.
Yelling the most unbelievable, absurd thing. Don't cut him up! Don't cut him up! There was a snake in his golf bag and it bit Mike.
So the paralysis wasn't a heart attack at all. The real bust of the fiddle string was the venom from a Peruvian boomslang, a snake that was thought to be extinct since the 1920s.
The irony is just staggering. His life is saved by two things: an accidental sexual response to a latex glove, and this completely separate medical emergency involving a supposedly extinct snake.
It's the highest possible stakes, resolved by the most absurd intervention you could imagine, just as the shears are about to go in.
And the epilogue is just peak King cynicism. Cottrell takes a month to recover, but the psychological damage.
Oh, it's there. He actually dated Dr. Arlen for 4 months after.
But the relationship ended because of sexual incompatibility.
Which, the story clarifies, means he was only potent if she was wearing rubber gloves.
Wow.
Yeah. That moment of total helplessness, staring death in the face under the touch of that cold latex. It didn't just haunt him, it was fetishized. The loss of his control became the key to it.
That's a perfect, if twisted, bridge to our next story. Lunch at the Gotham Cafe. We're moving from that cold, institutional horror to just sudden, chaotic, public violence.
Right. And our protagonist here, Stephen Davis, he's already in a state of crisis before any of the real violence even begins.
He's just reeling. His wife, Diane, has left him, and he's also trying to quit smoking, so he's in the middle of this intense psychological fallout.
And it's not just, a craving. The source calls it phase 2 of nicotine withdrawal. He's got depression and adonia, which is that emotional flatness and this feeling of mild unreality.
He feels like the world is just a movie playing on a screen controlled by stagehands. It's this deep sense of detachment.
Which is a crucial detail because the text actually suggests that this detachment, this fog he's in, might have ironically been the very thing that allowed him to survive what was about to happen.
He's meeting Diane and her therapist, a guy named William Humboldt. And he instantly hates Humboldt.
Oh, yeah. Humboldt purrs like a car on a silk pillow and keeps calling him Steve. It's so patronizing. And the meeting is supposed to be about the divorce, but Davis knows what they really want. They want the key to the safe deposit box.
He's got just enough sense left to have hired a lawyer who gave him very specific instructions. Don't yell, stick to the touchy-feely stuff.
So the scene is set for this very civil, very tense, but ultimately normal negotiation. But the whole thing is immediately violently derailed by the maitre d', a man named Guy.
At first, Guy just seems sloppy. His bow tie is crooked. There's a spot of what looks like blood on his shirt. His hair is sticking up.
Davis just reads it as, a high-strung restaurant guy having a bad day. But when he gets to the desk, Guy's eyes lock onto Davis's new umbrella.
And he just snaps. He screams, "You cannot bring that dog in here. How many times have I told you you can't bring that dog in here?"
He thinks the umbrella is a dog. He's completely disconnected from reality, convinced Davis has been teasing him, ruining his sleep.
And this is where Davis's own state of unreality becomes so dangerous. He just rationalizes it. He assumes dog is some kind of weird snooty slang for umbrella.
Yeah, he's on the island of the snootist, as he puts it. He just dismisses the madness because his own world already feels unreal.
But Humboldt, who's drunk and angry that his fancy lunch is being interrupted, he confronts Guy.
Yeah.
And that is the trigger.
Guy pulls out a knife, a 2-foot-long butcher knife. And the transition from, a fussy maitre d' to a killer is instantaneous.
The first attack is just shocking. It's so fast. He swings the knife at Humboldt, and the blade slices deep into his cheek with this whickering sound.
Blood just explodes everywhere, and Davis sees this single drop of blood fall into his water glass, and he describes it looking like a bloody tadpole.
That one image, the bloody tadpole, just captures the surreal horror of it. This grotesque violence happening on a fancy linen tablecloth.
Humboldt is just stunned. He's covering the wound. But the maitre d' grabs the handle with both hands and just brings it down like an axe into the top of Humboldt's head.
And the last sound Humboldt makes is just, boot! And he slumps forward onto his plate. He literally dies in his appetizer.
And Diane's reaction here is so important for what happens next. She's just paralyzed by shock. She's screaming as Humboldt's blood splashes all over her expensive dress.
Guy is totally manic now, ranting about the hateful dog, and he turns his attention to Davis.
And Davis is just running on pure adrenaline. That nicotine withdrawal detachment is maybe insulating him from the full shock of it all. The only thing he has to defend himself is the umbrella,
which he swings, and it pops open when it hits Guy's head. He calls it a slapstick act. It's just enough of a distraction for him to grab Diane and drag her toward the kitchen, toward the only other exit.
But the kitchen is its own kind of hell. There's a chef trying to intervene, and Davis sees this huge pot of boiling water and rice on the stove.
So he just slaps it toward Guy, dousing him. Guy screams in agony. And in his confusion, he slams his free hand down on a lit gas flame.
Davis sees his chance. The back door's right there. He screams at Diane to pull the bolts to get them out, but she's frozen. She's just sobbing, "I can't move. Make him stop."
He's desperate. He screams at her, calls her a useless bitch to try and shock her into action. And that's the moment. That's when all the emotional damage of their marriage just takes over.
She retaliates. She kicks him. Thud. Hard. In the buttock. She intentionally gives Guy time to recover. And Davis has this horrifying realization. She wanted me to get killed.
It's the ultimate betrayal.
He slams a skillet of mushrooms into Guy's face. There's this horrible hissing sound, and that finally gives him the second he needs to wrench the bolts open and escape.
But once they're out in the alley, the physical trauma is immediately replaced by the psychological trauma. He saves their lives, and Diane just turns on him.
Her mind is already rewriting what happened. She says, "I've wanted to kick your ass for the last 14 months.
Unbelievable.
Her defense mechanism is just fully engaged. She calls him controlling, judgmental, and then she lies. She tells him she had 3 lovers. It's a lie she immediately regrets, but she uses it as a weapon because she's tired of being dismissed by him. She completely erases the fact that he just saved her life.
The true horror wasn't the knife. It was the total collapse of her character.
Yeah. And the final sign that this whole terrifying event didn't break his patterns, but actually reinforced them, is what he does next.
He's watching them load Humboldt's body bag into an ambulance, and he lights a Marlboro.
But then he has this moment of clarity. He thinks, I haven't gone through this day just to start killing myself with tobacco again. So he throws it away, buys a brand new pack.
And stamps on it. Stomps it into the pavement, thinking of Guy's scream.
The trauma didn't make him start smoking again. It reinforced his struggle to quit. It just locked him back into that internal cycle of madness he was trying to escape. The madness outside just confirmed the madness inside.
That idea of an internal fragmented world is the perfect way into our next story, LT's theory of pets.
Yeah.
We're shifting from this sudden violence to a much slower kind of decay.
Yes, a slow emotional decay where a marriage just crumbles and the pets become this perfect, awful metaphor for the whole thing.
This is one of King's most, I think, poignant but also darkly funny stories. LT tells this story all the time, using his theory of pets as a punchline.
It's a shield, right? It's a cynical, self-protective joke that he uses to hide this deep, unresolved grief over his wife, Lulubelle, leaving him.
She left him a note on the fridge, held by a vegetable magnet. Just the most mundane domestic detail you can imagine, holding the words that end their life together.
And the note itself is this perfect blend of self-justification and this weird kind of new agey philosophy. She writes, I was never cut out to be a spam packer's wife, which is LT's job.
So right away, she's establishing this class divide she sees between them.
Exactly. But then she gives him the line she got from the psychic hotline. A broken spoon may become a fork.
What does that even mean?
Well, it's her attempt to be profound, you know?
Yeah.
She's implying that even though they're separating, they still share a handle, they're still human, it's supposed to be kind. But LT knows the real heart of it, the real emotional core of her leaving is in the PS.
The postscript. It's all about the pets. I have taken Frank with me and left Screw Lucy for you. I thought this would probably be the way you'd want it.
And that one sentence just explains their entire marriage. They couldn't agree on affection, and they couldn't agree on the pets that were supposed to symbolize it.
We have to get into the pet history here because it's everything.
It is. So, Lulabelle bought Frank, this high-strung Jack Russell Terrier, for LT on their first anniversary. And LT hated him from the start.
He called him a barking rat and a fur-covered shit machine.
And Frank hated him right back. He'd puke in LT's slipper, pee on his underwear. But Frank absolutely adored Lulabelle. He was her dog.
And the cat Lucy, who LT later nicknamed Screw Lucy, was the exact opposite.
Right. LT bought this Siamese kitten for Lulabelle for their second anniversary. And Lucy immediately swatted Lulabelle on the nose, claws out, and then just despised her for the rest of their time together. But the cat loved LT.
So their emotional choices were just completely incompatible. He couldn't accept the dog that was for him. She couldn't accept the cat that was for her.
And the cat's constant yowling or chatting, as King puts it, that Lulabelle couldn't stand. That was the final straw. That's what broke the camel's back.
LT's friend, the narrator of the story, points out LT's belief that a cat can't be a hypocrite.
If a cat likes you, you know. If she doesn't, you know that too. So Screw Lucy's pure, honest rejection of Lulabelle just exposed the facade of Lulabelle's own life, her marriage, which she was pretending to like.
So this slow domestic decay then takes a really sudden, really shocking turn.
Yeah, toward external horror. Lulabelle doesn't show up at her mother's house like she said she would, and LT starts to worry. But he's also deep in denial.
He holds on to this belief that she's okay. He imagines her singing in some small Nevada casino or even, working as a prostitute in a legal brothel.
Anything. Absolutely anything but the alternative. Anything but her being dead or hurt.
And it's his friend who has to deliver the news, the partial devastating news. The police found Lulabelle's Subaru parked off a road near Caliente.
The driver's side door was open. The seat was soaked in blood.
But forensics confirmed a crucial detail, the detail that allows LT to keep his denial going. The blood wasn't human. It was animal blood.
And then a little ways away from the car, they found the dismembered remains. The killer, this guy known as the Axeman, had gotten Lulabelle's dog, Frank.
The dog was dismembered. There was almost nothing left.
And the shock of that violence just breaks LT. He starts bawling so hard his body is baking. It's horrific, but it's also so darkly funny. The only thing that's stopping him from having to accept his wife's death is the fact that the serial killer apparently killed her dog instead.
It's the ultimate dark joke from King. Because the Axeman definitely got the dog, Lulabelle's own fate is just probable but far from certain.
And that ambiguity, it's a horrible kind of gift. It allows LT to keep hoping, to keep believing his wife is out there somewhere singing in a casino instead of having been butchered like the dog she loved.
So the very dog that symbolized their failure to connect becomes his anchor of false hope.
It's a perpetual torture. The pain will never resolve because the question is never answered. It's a self-imposed psychological prison.
Which is a perfect way to think about Darlene Pullen in Lucky Quarter. She's another protagonist trapped, this time by poverty, grappling with the destructive nature of sudden false luck.
Darlene is a chambermaid. Her life is a constant struggle. She's trying to afford braces for her daughter, Patsy, and a Sega system for her sickly son, Paul. It's just a relentless grind.
And the thing that busts her fiddle string, the inciting incident, is so mundane and so cruel.
A guest in room 322 leaves her a tip, a single quarter. And with it, there's a little note that just says, "Good luck."
And she finds this gesture so cheap, so condescending, that she just bursts into hysterical laughter. She laughs until she's crying. She thinks she can either laugh or find a gun and shoot herself.
That quarter just symbolizes the complete indifference of the wealthy guest she serves every day.
She thinks the quarter has rotten vibes. She just has to get rid of it. So on her way to lunch, almost without thinking, she drops it into the slot machine in the lobby.
And the cruel joke instantly turns on its head.
The bells go off. 1, 2, 3. And the sound of quarters just cascading into the tray seems to go on forever. She wins $18.
And she feels this total unnerving loss of sensation. Her nerves feel blown out like overloaded fuses. The small win doesn't bring her joy. It triggers something else entirely.
That night, she walks right past her bus stop and straight into the Silver City Casino. She feels like a visitor inside her own body.
And she tells herself this lie, right? It's just a quarter. That's really all it is. You're still just trying to get rid of it.
But the escalation is immediate. It's manic. She puts all $18 on odd. She wins. Puts it all on red. Wins again. Then black. Wins.
She says her head has gone to the deluminum mines of the planet Chumpadiddle. It's this bizarre internal language that just shows how detached she is. The gambling high is replacing her reality.
She gets up to $576. A crowd starts to gather. She puts it all on the second triple, a monster bet.
The crowd goes silent, and when she wins again, she's got over $1,700. The crowd just groans and then screams in what King calls sexual rapture.
It's grotesque. People are touching her hands, trying to catch her luck like a cold germ. She's not Darlene Pullen anymore. She's just this vessel for fortune.
And she pushes it all the way, the peak fantasy. She wants to bet it all on a single number, 25. The potential payout is $24,000, enough to fix everything.
The casino TVs are showing her face, the wheel. She closes her eyes and prays, "Lucky me, lucky mom, lucky girl."
And that's the apex, the absolute peak of the delusion. The next instant, it all just dissolves.
She opens her eyes. She's back in room 322, sitting in the chair. The quarter and the envelope are still in her hand. The whole thing, the casino, the winnings, it was all just this profound, self-induced fantasy.
But King isn't finished with that quarter. The symbol has to play out in reality to deliver the final blow. Later that day, her sickly son Paul finds the quarter and puts it in the lobby slot machine.
And Darlene, having already lived through the fantasy win, she doesn't even turn around. She's moved past hope now. She's in a place of just fatalistic acceptance.
She just stands there, listening to the machine, waiting for the sound of the coins she knows is coming. And she's already thinking about asking a coworker to watch the kids so she can go back to the casino. The delusion is now a permanent part of her life.
And as the jackpot hits, just like in her fantasy, her internal thought is just crushing. Luck was a joke. Even good luck was just bad luck with its hair combed.
The good luck gives her the money, but it just solidifies her belief that her life is doomed anyway. The sound of the coins, the very sound that should mean salvation, she compares it to metal slag falling on top of a coffin.
The jackpot is just the sound of her own burial beginning.
It's bleak.
Which brings us to our final story. And this one takes us out of these modern neuroses and into a child's direct confrontation with pure, absolute evil, the man in the black suit.
This is Gary, an old man recounting something that happened to him when he was 9 years old back in 1914 in Mountain, Maine.
The setting is so beautifully drawn. It's this isolated world before the First World War where people were apart, living with this quiet sense of anxiety. Ghosts everywhere, he says.
And his life is already shadowed by death. His older brother Dan died from a bee sting the year before. It's a tragedy his mother is still in deep, hysterical denial about, which has left Gary on very unstable psychological ground.
His father gives him a new fishing pole and makes him promise not to go past the stream fork. A promise he breaks after catching the biggest trout of his life. He dozes off, and that's when it happens.
He's woken up by this immediate biological terror. He feels a tug on his fishing line, and then he realizes there's a bee on the tip of his nose. And he instantly fears it's the same devil bee that killed his brother Dan.
He's paralyzed by fear. He's sure it's going to sting it inside his nostril and kill him, just like his brother. The trauma is so deep-seated it manifests as a physical paralysis.
And the tension is broken by a sound, a single clap of hands, as sharp and peremptory as a pistol shot. The bee falls dead into his lap, and he looks up and sees the man in the black suit.
The description of this man is just pure king horror. He's tall, pale, dressed perfectly in a three-piece black suit. But his eyes...
His eyes are completely orange, and they're flickering like the isinglass portholes on an old stove. King writes that the man was on fire inside. There's no ambiguity here.
And the smell. He smells burned matches and sulfur. Gary's bladder lets go. He knows instantly who this is. This is the devil.
And the devil doesn't waste any time. He goes straight for psychological annihilation. He exploits Gary's deepest trauma. He lies and tells Gary that his mother is dead.
Killed by a bee sting. He describes her death in gruesome detail, her eyes bulging out, scratching her own face.
And then he adds this one grotesque, emotional detail aimed right at a 9-year-old's heart. He says their dog, Candy Bill, licked away her dying tears.
It's so specific. It weaponizes Gary's fear about his brother and the bees, and then he just piles on the humiliation, chanting, "Opal, diamond, sapphire, jade, I smell Gary's lemonade."
And the cruelty keeps coming. He turns on Gary's father, suggesting he'll need a warm hole to stick it in, implying Gary himself could be abused. It's this calculated bombardment of terror.
And it gives Gary this pure, instinctual burst of action. The devil gets distracted by the fish in the stream, says he's starving.
So Gary pulls out that huge 19-inch trout, the prize catch he was so proud of, and he just shoves it into the devil's hands.
The devil's reaction is just bestial. He goes from this suave, cruel tormentor to a starving animal. He screams, "Big fish! Oh, big fishish!" and crams it into a mouth that opens impossibly wide, like a shark's.
His gullet is blazing orange, and the heat coming out of his throat is so intense, the fish scales curl like bits of paper before he swallows it whole.
It's this moment of pure, consuming heat, physical proof of the furnace inside him.
And as he swallows the fish, his blazing eyes bulge, and he cries, and his tears are thick red blood.
The sight of the devil crying bloody tears, that's what snaps Gary out of his paralysis and gives him his body back.
He just bolts. He runs and runs until he finds his father. But he can't tell him the truth. He can't say he met the devil, so he lies. He says it was just a scary man with a gun. It's his first act of self-preservation, but it's also the start of his psychological isolation.
And that trauma defines his entire life. He's an old man now, writing this all down in a diary, hoping that the act of writing it will finally set him free.
But he admits that even as his body is failing, the terrible face of the man in the black suit just grows ever clearer, ever closer. He's still running from that moment almost a century later. The damage was just irreparable.
So we've completed our deep dive through these 5 really startling shifts. From Howard Cottrell in the body bag to Gary meeting the man in the black suit, the one thread that connects all of them is this instant destruction of the protagonist's sense of control.
Exactly. I mean, whether the paralysis is from a real venom, like the boom slang, or from emotional trauma like Diane's betrayal, or just the presence of the devil himself, the world just becomes hostile and unfamiliar in a heartbeat.
And the victim is left totally helpless, trying to signal that they're alive, with a hum, with a kick, with a fish.
But they're so often ignored or misinterpreted, even by themselves.
And it seems like the most profound shifts happen when our attention is just on the wrong thing. Cottrell is saved not by his own efforts, but by this accidental response from the doctor and a completely unrelated emergency.
Or Davis, who's so caught up in quitting smoking and his divorce that he just rationalizes away the obvious danger of the maitre d'.
And LT and Darlene too. LT is so focused on the symbolism of the pets that he misses the real danger, only to have the dog's death confirm the violence he wanted to deny.
Darlene is so focused on her poverty that she uses this lucky quarter to escape into a delusion, and then that same symbol in the hands of her son just reminds her that even good luck is a trap.
So King's insight here seems to be that the horror isn't just the event itself. It's the psychological fallout. It's the feeling that your own reality can no longer be trusted.
It's the speed of it that's so debilitating. And in that shift, when the knife comes out or the venom goes in, the protagonist just reverts to this primal state. Cottrell hums, Davis uses an umbrella, Gary offers up his prize catch to appease the monster. All the sophisticated parts of our identity just collapse, and you're left with this raw, panicked core.
It leaves us with a really difficult final thought for you to take with you from this deep dive. In a world where your reality can shift in a single, unguarded moment, when the knife is drawn, the venom is injected, or the key is missing, what tiny, mundane habit of yours, like, I don't know, quitting smoking or checking the mail or feeding a pet, would you rely on as definitive, objective proof that your life is still firmly your own?